right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome. My name is Zoe Mills. I am the Adult Programming and Community Outreach Librarian at Tredyffrin Public Library. Thank you so much for joining me today as I'll cover Libby and Flipster. Both are apps that you can download onto a smartphone or a tablet. Please make use of the chat or Q&A functions throughout this webinar to ask any questions that might come up. I'm happy to answer anything that you might come across. And also at the end of the webinar, I'm happy to screencast my phone so that you can see Libby and Flipster in action. Just let me know in the chat or the Q&A if you are interested in seeing that. And then just so that everyone is aware, I am recording this webinar and it will be posted to the library's YouTube channel for future reference. Before we get started, I do want to make a quick announcement. All of us at the library have been proud and delighted to be able to serve the community in a multitude of ways throughout the pandemic. Virtual programs like this one, plus electronic materials, reference chat, curbside pickup, and more have kept the community inspired, engaged, and connected. But the pandemic has also caused a loss of revenue at our libraries and has increased many costs. Now it is likely that cuts to services and programs may come. If you can give any amount, we are very grateful for your support. You can click the link in the chat to donate today. If not, I did email all of those who pre-registered a copy of the presentation in a PDF form, so you can click through to go to this webpage to support the library. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into learning about Libby and Flipster. Whoops, I'm not sure what just happened. Sorry about that. So first I'm going to go over Libby, which is our app or our database to access ebooks and audiobooks available through the Chester County Library System. First things first, I want to walk you through the process of getting started with downloading Libby. So the very first step is you have to open the App Store or Google Play, depending on your device. If you have an Apple product like an iPad or an iPhone, you will use the App Store and the icon is the blue background with the A, the white A. And then any Android device or Google device is going to be Google Play. Once you open up the App Store or Google Play, you'll just type in the word Libby, and it should be the first option. It will be called Libby by Overdrive. And if I go back really quick, the icon will look like the pink girl reading a book, or the girl with pink hair reading the book. Step two, you'll have to put in your library information. So the easiest thing to do is to either type in Tredyffrin Public Library or Paoli Library or whichever Chester County library you call home, or even just your zip code. And then what will happen is Chester County Library System will automatically pop up as we're all members of the Chester County Library System. When you see that, you'll just click select the Chester County Library System, and Libby will automatically remember that you prefer Chester County Library System. And then the final step, step 4, is to input your library card number. It is the 13-digit number on the back of your library card. It should begin with the number 2. And if for some reason you do not have a Chester County Library card, you can get a 90-day temporary library card or renew your old library card online on our website. You can click the link in the PDF version of this website or just head over to our website at tredyffrinlibraries.org. We currently have this open to anyone and everyone, so if you do not live in Chester County, or even if you do not live in Pennsylvania, you are welcome to get a 90-day temporary library card to explore our services and collections. And please let me know in the chat or the Q&A if I am going too quick. And of course, as always, ask questions along the way. So once you are settled into Libby, the first step is to search for or select titles, but I do want to mention kind of noting the differences between ebooks and e-audiobooks. This is a common mistake most first-time Libby users make. So ebooks are on the left here. It'll just be the cover of the item with the title and the author. And e-audiobooks will have the little earbuds at the bottom of the cover. So the main difference between ebooks is that you physically read it yourself. You turn the pages much like a book, whereas the e-audiobook, you listen to someone narrating the story or narrating the book. You cannot see the text. And as I mentioned, when browsing for titles, pay close attention to the bottom of the book cover. E-audiobooks will have that earbud logo. Ebooks will not have a logo. But if you're in doubt, read a description of the item before downloading to make sure it is in the format that you are looking for. You can also see descriptive items, especially with audiobooks, like who the narrator is. So if you listen to a lot of audiobooks and you have a favorite narrator, you can see who the narrator is, and you can even search by narrator if you're interested. So there is a major difference between placing holds and borrowing items. Borrow means that the item is immediately available to download. If you're not sure if you want the item, sampling, make sure you sample before borrowing. This is a big tip we like to remind users of Libby. Licenses for ebooks are expensive for the library, and some publishers have placed an embargo on library electronic purchases, such as books can only be checked out about 25 times before we have to repurchase the book, or it could be we only have it for 6 months and then we'll have to repurchase after that 6 months have passed. So if you aren't sure if you're interested in the item, you can always sample either the text or the audio to make sure that you really do want to borrow the item. And you can see here on the left-hand side, you'll see that borrow button right underneath of the cover of the item. Next is placing holds. So place a hold means that the item is currently checked out to another patron. So this is very much like the physical items in the library. If it's currently checked out and you want the item, you place it on hold and the next person in line receives the item when it is returned. So it works very similarly with Libby. And there are handy wait times, or wait time estimates are available. So the wait time, it says about 19 weeks because The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is extremely popular right now. So you can kind of see how long you'll be waiting for the item. This is an estimate, so it could be shorter wait time or a longer wait time. I think this is very handy for those who might be in book clubs who are on a time crunch, or if it's something that you want to read immediately, then you might have to see if it's quicker to borrow the physical item. Again, why do we have to wait for the items if they're all online, or why is the wait so long? So again, it's the embargoes and the high prices. We only get a few ebooks and e-audiobooks of one title at a time. So we might only have 4 ebook copies of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, where we might have over 50 copies circulating, 50 physical copies circulating in the library system. So the wait time will be shorter for the physical item because there's more items circulating, whereas only 5 ebooks will generate a longer wait time. If you wanted to place a hold on the item, you would just click place a hold, and it'll confirm that you want to place the hold. Once the item, going back to borrowing items, once the item is borrowed, it's automatically added to your shelf and you can start reading or listening to it immediately. Now we're going to jump into searching for titles or authors or any kind of genre or topic. So the main way is searching by typing in the title, author, name, or by keyword searches. When you open up Libby and you're on the library tab, the search bar will be at the very top with a kind of like a magnifying glass or a spyglass. You'll just tap the spyglass and then type in what you are searching for. If you're not sure what you want, you can browse across genres, library curated collection guides on what's new or popular, or by format. And then you can also, when you are browsing or searching, you can narrow it down even further by selecting the format that you're looking for. So if you're looking strictly for an ebook, you can just click book and only see the ebooks available, or vice versa, audiobooks. If you wanted to search for books written in Spanish as opposed to English, you can select Spanish. We do have quite a few language learning books, I think, and audiobooks on Libby. So if you picked up language learning during the lockdown, you can use free resources on Libby. You can also narrow by audience compatibility. So this is handy for Kindle users. I myself use a Kindle Paperwhite, which I can explain a little bit further if anyone is a Kindle Paperwhite user. Let me know in the chat and I'll explain a little bit more. But if you are just using an iPad or any device that can physically download the Libby app, you can search just across Libby. My favorite facet to use is the availability versus everything and available now. So if I am just browsing, I read all of my to reads and I don't know what I want to read, I can just browse available now. Like I can pick a genre, say I pick horror, I pick ebook and I pick available now. I can see anything within the horror genre that's an ebook that I can check out right in this moment. So that's a very handy facet. And then once you have a search result, you can sort by different facets. So the default is just lists the items, I believe, alphabetically. You can sort by relevance, popularity within the library. So if it's a popular item with anyone else using the Chester County Library System, you can see that. The date that the item was added, and then also the release date. You can also refine your search. Oops, sorry about that. My mouse has gone haywire. You can also refine your search or browse by format and genre. There are over 200 genres and subjects to select from, and you can see it here. If you wanted to see the genres available in fiction, you can just click more and you'll see all of the available genres, but the major ones are listed first, such as literature, romance, and thriller. So the biggest thing to learn when it comes to using Libby is toggling between the different modes. So there are 3 different modes on Libby. The first is the library, which is always the bottom left-hand corner. Your currently reading, which is the middle option, and then your shelf, which is on the right-hand side. The library is used for searching and borrowing from the library's digital collection. The currently reading mode is for picking up where you left off on your current ebook or audiobook. If you are currently not reading anything, the circle will be filled with Libby herself. And the shelf is for accessing your loans, holds, and tagged lists. So I want to go over the library mode first. So your very first option up top is the search bar, which I mentioned just a few moments ago. This is where you can search for titles, authors, or topics by keyword. So you'll just tap the search, type in what you're looking for, and it'll bring up your search results. So it's very much like Google as opposed to our online catalog. So you could just type in a keyword and it'll bring up a search result. You don't have to be exact in spelling or exact in title. It'll kind of think for you, much like Google does. There is the Explore option, which is right here on the right-hand side, just below our logo. And this is where you can explore guides based on what's popular, new to the library, or across different genres. So this is a great tool if you aren't sure what you want to read or what's actually available within Chester County's Libby. And then if you were to scroll down a little bit further, you can browse different collections that have been curated by Chester County librarians. So right now, our main highlighted collection is our librarian likes. So these are all titles that have been rated by Chester County librarians that we have enjoyed. Next is your currently reading mode. So I have 2 images here. On the left-hand side is an audiobook and on the right-hand side is an ebook. So the cover, like I mentioned previously, the cover of what you were last reading will appear in the circle. If you aren't currently reading anything or you don't have any loans, the circle will be occupied by Libby, who is also, you can personalize Libby a little bit, which is fun. When you are reading an e-audiobook, you can tap and hold any word to learn its meaning, and you can also highlight. So if you have experience reading on a Kindle device like a Kindle e-reader or a Kindle Paperwhite, you can also tap the word and drag to highlight a sentence or a paragraph you're interested in. You can set bookmarks if there's a chapter or a paragraph that interests you that you want to return to. You can just tap the little tag up here. It's a little bit longer when you're not scrolled down, but it's just like a little, it looks like a little bookmark. And I just want to remind everyone that you don't need to set a bookmark to save your spot if you're finished reading for that moment. Libby will automatically save your position for you, so you don't have to tap that bookmark if you're done reading. You can check your progress throughout the book and throughout the chapter. So you can see it visually here. It'll be kind of like a bar. So you can see 20 here is 20 pages in. And then you can also see what page number you are on out of however long the book is. If you are reading, there are two different ways that you can move through the title. So you can tap right on the right-hand side of the page is to move forward, and tap left is to move back. To swipe right is to move forward, and swipe left is to move back. And then the same action, tapping or swiping forward, tapping right or swiping right will move you forward 5 to 60 seconds, depending on how long your swipe is. And then swiping left or tapping left will move you backwards 5 to 60 seconds for audiobooks. The next mode is your shelf mode, which is pictured on the left. So you have three major options here at the top. The first is your loans. Your loans, on your loans page, you will see the titles listed that you currently have checked out. And then you also have the option to renew your items or put them back on hold. If you are running out of time and you're not quite finished yet, you can renew the item if there is no hold list. If there is a hold list, you can put the item back on hold and get back in line for the item. Next is holds. This is where you will find the titles that you've placed on hold and the estimated wait time. You can also suspend your holds if you're not ready by clicking on the manage hold and then suspend hold. And then you can specify how many days you want to suspend the hold. This is great if you are going on vacation or you're currently reading another book. And then you can also create tags and access the tags on your shelf mode. You can create your own reading lists based on your likes and dislikes. If you are a big Goodreads person, this is very similar, where you can create lists of books that you've read or books that you want to read to help you kind of navigate Libby and keep track of what you've enjoyed or what you want to enjoy in the future. So next I want to cover advanced tools for when you are reading an ebook. So you can change the text scale a little bit, so you can increase or decrease the size of the font, and there are accessibility sizes. So if you prefer large print books, for physical items you can reach that large print type size if that's more comfortable for you. You can also adjust the lighting. So what is shown here on the PowerPoint is bright, which is white background with black text. There are sepia tones, which is handy for, I use it when I am reading outside, maybe like in the evening or early morning when it's not quite bright out. And then the dark mode, which is a black background with white text. I personally use this for at night so that it kind of reduces the blue light and it makes it easier for me to go to sleep once I'm finished reading. And then you can also choose the book design, which is basically changing the font style. So if you aren't a fan of the publisher's default, you can change it to other types of fonts. And there are accessible fonts available like Open Dyslexic if you are dyslexic. Next, I want to cover e-audiobook settings. So the biggest setting that you can play around with is the speed of the audiobook. This is something that I recently started kind of using more. I would just rely on the normal speed, which is just 1 times. And some narrators are really slow or some narrators are too quick. So you can make it slower or make it faster depending on how you want to enjoy the audiobook. So this logo here, the little kind of clock or the speedometer, is where you'll change the speed of the audiobook. So you can click, hold, and drag down to toggle the speed. So if you go up on the toggle, it'll slow it down. If you go down on the toggle, it'll speed it up. Or you can just tap the icon and select the speed. So the slowest speed is 0.60 times. The fastest speed is 3 times. I usually hover between 1 times and 1.5 times. I once read a book on 2 times speed to get it done in time for a book group, and it was tough for me. I'm kind of a slow reader, but I recommend playing around with the speeds to see where you're comfortable. Next is a sleep timer, which is really great if you like to listen to audiobooks while you're trying to go to bed, or if you're even listening to like a meditation audiobook, that can help you with timing your meditations. So it'll be this little moon icon here. Again, you can click, hold, and drag down to toggle the amount of time before the audiobook turns off. The audiobook will automatically suggest a time before turning off, so it'll usually be until the end of the chapter. If you want to select a time rather than just the end of the current chapter, you can select between 1 minute or 120 minutes or until the end of the chapter. And then you can enable Bluetooth on your phone to connect to your car while driving or to wireless headphones. So if you are an Apple user and you have EarPods or the AirPods, you'll need to enable your Bluetooth on your phone as opposed to on the app to connect. I would definitely recommend playing around with listening to audiobooks in the car. It's something that I definitely used to do when I commuted to the library more frequently. I got a lot of reading in during my commute by listening through my car. And then there are advanced tools within your download settings. So this is, again, it's just in your shelf mode, and then it'll be the little action button. So your first option is to synchronize your shelf across multiple devices. So if you use more than one device, say you use an iPhone or I'm sorry, an iPhone and an iPad at the same time, like you read on your iPhone when you're at the grocery store in line, and then you read on your iPad at home, you can synchronize your shelf across multiple devices so that all of your currently readings are at the same spot. Think of this as a refresh button if you use more than one device. Clear reading now, if you were to tap that, it will clear out your current reading items. It will forget your current position. Read books with, so this is where you can set your preferences to read in Libby or read in Kindle. Again, I'm happy to delve more into what this means, but I am assuming since no one said that they were a Kindle e-reader user, I'm assuming everyone else is just using an iPad or something that is not an e-reader where you can download the Libby app. But if you were interested in reading on a Kindle device, this is where you would specify with Libby that you prefer to download automatically to Kindle. And then you also have the option to suspend all holds. You can pause your holds between 1 day and 180 days. And again, this is great for vacations if you're too busy to read or you have too many items to catch up on. And additionally, there is an option to change your download rules. So currently I have my settings set that I can only download books or ebooks or e-audiobooks when I am connected to Wi-Fi. If you have unlimited data on your phone, you don't have to follow this rule. You can change it so that it automatically downloads no matter the connection. But again, that's completely up to you. If you were interested in maintaining maintaining downloading on Wi-Fi, that's completely okay. You would just have to change it in your download rules. I have a question in the chat. Could you please show how to add ebooks to a Nook Simple Touch? So I am actually less familiar with the Nooks. My first question for you is, can you download apps onto your device? Okay. Let me just bring that up really quickly, refresh my memory. Okay, so this is I'm not sure if you've used Overdrive before we switch to Libby, but it works very similarly. You would have to download an application onto your computer called Adobe Digital Editions. I will type it into the chat for you. And you will make your transfer that way. So you would use our online version of Libby, which I will type in the chat for you to bookmark, which is just chester.overdrive.com. This is where you can browse and borrow items. And once you borrow an item, you would transfer it through Adobe Digital Editions. You would connect your Nook to your computer and then make the transfer that way. I'll make note of your email, and what I'll do is I will email you the start guide as put together by Libby so that it'll go into a little bit more detail. Thank you for your patience while I write that down. And it looks like we have a Kindle user. So again, is this a Kindle e-reader or a Kindle Fire tablet? An e-reader. Okay, perfect. So what would happen is you can use the website that I put in the chat, chester.overdrive.com, or you can browse on Libby. Once you download an item, you would click, instead of clicking download or read now, you would click read with Kindle. And what will happen is Amazon will open up in either a new tab if you're on your computer or on your phone web browser. And then you'll log into your Amazon account tied to your Kindle device. You may automatically be signed in if you're on a home computer that saves your information. Once you're signed in, you'll see a gold button that says deliver to Kindle. And if you have more than one Kindle device on your Amazon account, you'll have to select which Kindle you'd like to deliver it to. But it's that simple. And I can show you that when I'm done going over Libby and Flipster. I can connect my phone to the screen share on Zoom so that you can see it kind of in action if you're interested. Using a Kindle and Nooks can be a little bit cumbersome. There's just one added step of getting it onto your device, but it's pretty simple once you get it down. I just want to mention some quick additional tips and tricks. So the more library cards, the merrier. You can add multiple library cards on one Libby account. And a great tip that I like to remind everyone, if you live in Pennsylvania, you are eligible for a free Library of Philadelphia library card, and you can apply on their website. Utilize Libby's notifications to keep track of your loans and holds. Allow push notifications through your device settings. So Libby will let you know, it'll send a notification onto your device on your phone to remind you that you have a loan or a hold ready. You can see your place in line for a hold. So if you go into your holds on your shelf mode and you tap a hold, it'll tell you where you are in line. And it'll also give you an estimated wait time, it's usually weeks or days. And then you can also find books within a whole series. Titles are marked as a number in a series in lists and search results. You can also see the other books in the series and the order to read them in. Are there any questions or comments? All right, so I'm going to move on to Flipster. And feel free, if you still have questions about Libby, while I'm going over Flipster, feel free to ask those questions in the chat or the Q&A function. So there are two ways to access Flipster. I'm first going to go over how to access it online. You will open up your web browser and navigate to www.ccls.org. That is our library system website. You're going to click Databases, and then Databases by name. You'll click F, and then click Flipster. And then you'll be asked to input your library card number. It's a 13-digit number on the back of your library card. And then you can start reading digital magazines right away. Flipster is probably, I think, the most underrated database that we have, and especially the app. The app, I think, is really great. I was exploring it a little bit more when I was preparing this presentation, and I think I certainly haven't used it as much as I should be, so I would like everyone to explore Flipster. It's a really great way to read magazines, especially with the library being closed to the public, and we're only offering curbside pickup. You can't currently check out current issues. You can request and check out past issues of magazines, but if you're interested in the current issue, Flipster is the way for you to do that. So getting started with the Flipster app, much like Libby, you'll download Flipster through the App Store or Google Play. You'll tap Get Started, find your library by typing in Chester County Library System, and then tap Login. Input your library card number, and then you're all set to go. I do want to make note for the e-reader users, this is not available through e-readers. If you were interested in using Flipster, you would have to use it on a desktop or laptop computer. So there are, much like Libby, there are 3 different modes. There's the Explore mode, My Shelf mode, and the Read mode. On the Explore mode, you are able to explore available magazines and issues. On your shelf, you can see the issues that you currently have downloaded onto your app. And then through the Read mode, you can read any magazines that you are currently checked out or currently downloaded. The first mode I wanted to go over is the Explore, so you can explore current issues of the magazines collected by the Chester County Library System. To explore current and back issues, select the magazine to view all of the available issues. You can also explore based on categories, which is this left corner here. And some categories include business, fashion, fitness and health, news and politics, and so much more. You can search for titles by clicking the little spyglass, and you can search for titles, categories, or even by a publisher. And you can also edit your settings, so you can add a new library card from a different library system or access your privacy information. You can toggle in between the modes. So My Shelf mode, this is what it's going to look like when you have magazines downloaded. So all of your downloaded magazines will appear here. You'll just tap the cover to open the magazine to start reading, and you'll tap the trash can icon to return the downloaded magazine. You can also sort your downloaded magazines by alphabetical order or the reverse Z to A. And then you can access bookmarks you've made in read magazines. So if you're reading, say, like a recipe magazine and you see a recipe that you'd like to try, you can bookmark it and then access that bookmark within your bookmarks. And you can also assign titles or filters within your bookmarks to keep them organized. So if you have different recipes, like you have like a desserts recipe list and an entree recipe list, you can separate them that way. On the read mode, to read, you'll swipe left or right to turn pages, much like Libby. And then you can also tap on the article highlights to navigate directly to the article. So you can see here, there's an article called The Guide to Finding Happiness highlighted on the cover. If I were to tap that title, it would take me directly to that article. You can read the full article without images or graphics by tapping text view. Once you are on an article, you'll tap text view and you'll see it only as text without images or graphics. To zoom in, you can pinch and move in or out with your fingers to zoom, or you can double tap to zoom in and then double tap again to zoom out. You can view the magazine page by page by clicking on the table of contents or index, which is this button here, this icon here. And then you'll just tap the page to view. And to create a bookmark on an article or a piece of the magazine you want to keep, you'll just tap this bookmark here. And that's pretty much Flipster in a nutshell. And then I want to share my contact information as well as the library's contact information. If you are interested in more assistance with Libby and Flipster, you can schedule a one-on-one tech session with me. It's usually done over Zoom. I do have limited phone call sessions. If that is of interest to you, we would just have to work out when we can schedule that. But I prefer to do it over Zoom. And then you can also contact the library by calling or emailing. And this is our website here. If you pre-registered for this program, this is included in the PDF file that I sent to you this morning. Do we have any final questions or comments? All right, if you can think of any questions and you come across a question after kind of exploring Libby or Flipster on your own, feel free to email me and I'm happy to get back to you. Again, this webinar was recorded, so it will be up on our YouTube channel shortly. I'll have to edit it a little bit. So if you wanted to go back and refer to something that I mentioned earlier, you can do that once it's posted to YouTube. Again, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy Libby and Flipster.